Hey guys, it's Bina, and this morning I want to go over the Lightning Blast Runemaster guide again for Season 3. There has been some changes based on my playstyle, based on my playtesting, and I want to present to you what I changed and why I changed it. And so I will go directly into a 1000 Corruption Showcase. This is with the Endgame Gear Planner. Extremely powerful build. Once you get it going, it will just blast through any content, Uber included. It's just very, very, very strong. And yeah, I mean, pretty easy mapping here. Crazy damage compared to last patch. We've basically doubled our damage compared to Season 2. And in Season 2, I did clear Uber on this character. So, as you can see, there is no problem whatsoever. You are casting... you know, you're casting your Lightning Blast and killing everything. So, very, very easy. Now let's go into a Uber Abroth, just to show you how easy Uber is with this setup. And let me tell you this, it is very easy. Very easy. So what you want to do is you cast Cold Fire Cold with Runic invocation, right? The fact that you are ranged like this also makes it very, very good for controlling the fight. You have Flame Ward, which you can use. Flame Ward is a great defensive skill against this fight. If you are ever in danger of, you know, a pizza or something, a slam, you just use your Flame Ward, and you are pretty much invincible while you are using it. So here I can tank a pizza with Flame Ward, no problem there. So overall, very strong. This is only with endgame gear. You can get way more damage than this, by the way. So as you can see, very easy fight. Because you are ranged, you can pinpoint exactly where you want your Lightning Blast to go. And your damage uptime is very, very good on Uber Abroth. This is with only endgame gear. So the main change is going for Glacier instead of Teleport. Compared to the first iteration I had, which was using Runic invocation as your movement ability and using Rune Bolt. I did not like the fact that you had to like weave in one Rune Bolt in between every, you know, every 3 seconds. You had like basically cast one Rune Bolt to keep your buffs up, to keep your damage multiplier up. And the mana is really not it's not a problem. Mana is not a problem on this build, since you have 2 sources of mana on potion use with the Mana-Accumulated Ladle and Orion's Descent belt. This is enough, alongside Foot of the Mountain, which brings your mana cost down when you stop moving, which essentially will make you regen mana while casting, because your Lightning Blast will not cost any mana. That's going to be extremely good for mana sustain. And so early on, I would suggest trying to get a roll of mana regen, some early rolls of mana regen. You know, before you get Nihilus, grab an amulet with mana regen. before you get, you know, maybe on your ring or your belt, you get mana regen as well, and that should be enough. You could even go with even less mana regen than this, but the thing is that you will have to play around with potions a little bit more. So that is like kind of like preference based, because instead of this 60 mana regen here, you could decide to go with lightning damage instead, right? And if you go with lightning damage, that adds another 120% increased damage to the build and is extremely powerful. But that being said, this is the setup that I have for now. The Maxwell planners have changed. So this is the new looks of the Maxwell planner. Still in the works of possibly making some little changes here and there. This is very new. I wasn't aware that we were going to change the planners. So, but yeah, this is it. This is what we have for now. So let's go into the core parts of the build. So when you start out, I have the starter planner here. When you start out, some core pieces that you want to obtain very, very early are going to be Foot of the Mountain. Foot of the Mountain is a very easy, unique item to get. You get this one in the Lightless Arbor dungeon. If you do at tier 2 minimum, you have a 20% chance to obtain the item. And as you go higher, tier 3, tier 4, you get better chances as well, right? But you can obtain this one as soon as tier 2, which is very early in your character progression. And this one will give you not only all attributes to give you intelligence, it gives you armor, it gives you all attributes is excellent. 12 attributes also means vitality, which is resistances. But the -2 mana cost per stack of Mountain's Endurance when you stop moving is going to help you greatly sustain your mana, especially against tankier targets where you are standing still. You can easily stand still against any target if you just you approach a target, you cast Flame Ward, you are pretty much invincible, and then you just stand still and kill it with your reduced mana cost for Lightning Blast. That's going to enable a lot of mana sustain very early on if you don't have any mana regen. So Foot of the Mountain, very good. You cannot play this build without Fragment of the Enigma. Fragment of the Enigma lets you scale intelligence to gain flat lightning damage for spark charges. So you will get a lot of damage with this. By the way, I do not suggest playing Lightning Blast before you get Fragment of the Enigma. So at the earliest, it's going to be level 46. If you want to grab a Fragment of the Enigma, the easiest way is, of course, in COF. On MG, just buy it. But on COF, grab some prophecies for off-end catalysts. And this is a fairly common drop. You will get it, and potentially even with a couple of LP on it. So very easy to obtain with COF. Grab a prophecy. If you're early in your character progression, use the non-mono events and like no monolith events and no non-monolith events, and you'll only get like some general prophecies. If you only have like 2 slots for your lenses, that's gonna be very easy to obtain. So these two are the biggest core part. Next, you want to try to get while you're farming your Foot of the Mountain, you will probably find a Peak of the Mountain as well, which gives you a lot of increased critical strike chance. You can use this. This also gives you all attributes. It's easy to get it with LP. You might be able to slam something on this. If you do some slams, make sure to slam intelligent. Well, on the boots, you want to get movement speed. If you don't care about movement speed, you can go intelligence. Intelligence is your biggest scaling vector in this build. On Peak of the Mountain, you will want to have levels of Lightning Blast. So try to get that. If not, you can get intelligence as well. Another core piece, slaying exiled mages will give you a chance to get the Mad Alchemist Ladle. There are some nodes on the Weaver tree up here, exiled but not forgotten. Ruined prisons have a chance to spawn 2 exiled mages instead of 1, and then you can get the tombs and cemeteries have a guaranteed possessed exiled mage. So this is something that you can do to try to get some more exiled mages for Mad Alchemist Ladle. Mad Alchemist Ladle, the only important role on this one is going to be Armor Shred on spell hit. Well, it's not even that important, but it is the most important because the more Armor Shred stacks that you have, up to a certain point, the more damage that you will deal. So how does Mad Alchemist Ladle work? It's based on the number of negative elements on a target, which you will reach very easily up to 8. And yeah, so you scale cast speed. It's going to also apply frailty. So it fixes your frailty, it fixes your shred, and it gives you a lot of cast speed and mana on potion use. Extremely easy to get with 3+ LP. So yeah, it's only 17 LPL. 1 in 55 will be a 3 LP. and 1 in 1.6k will be 4 LP. So even 4 LP is quite reasonably obtainable on this build if you are really going for it to min-max properly. But 3 LP should be easy. So these are the core part. Your main ward engine is going to be Twisted Heart of Eukaros alongside Runic Invocation for Cold Fire Cold Invocation. So, you just hold down Runic Invocation, and Twisted Heart based on your HP will give you a certain amount of health converted to ward because you are using an elemental skill. So yeah, that is you're scaling HP to get more ward out of Twisted Heart with a lot of cast speed and everything that comes from all mainly Mad Alchemist Ladle. Next, to cap your crit. Crit is going to be pretty difficult to cap. Grasp of the Blood Mage is going to be your main source of flat, added spell critical strike chance. So make sure that you get a plus 4% spell crit chance on your Grasp of the Blood Mage to get your crit up to 100% with the proper setup. So the rest is pretty straightforward on the starter setup. The end game setup now, you will want as many points. You will want as many points in Lightning Blast as possible. So all of the points in Lightning Blast here are pretty straightforward. One thing that you want to note here is that you are using Convergence. So Convergence will make Lightning Blast chain to only the first target hit, but it will half your number of chains and then rounds up. So you want to get like an uneven number of chains, for example, 5 or 5 or 7, so that it rounds down, it halves, and then it will round up, so you'll get the most benefit. You never want to be at like 6 chains or 8 chains, because then you're missing out on the 3 point in your Lightning Blast, right? So this is why I am going for 3 points in Arcing Power and 2 points in Chain Lightning. That's going to bring our number of chains to an uneven number and bring it up afterwards. The rest is just like for damage, right? You are going maximum Spark Charge on hit, maximum Spark Charge damage, the double cast, the quadruple cast. This is all damage multipliers. You are grabbing Lightning Aegis. So 1 point in here, 5% on cast to get Lightning Aegis, which gives you increased damage and less damage taken. Although this one, the less damage taken, as soon as you take 25% of your health, whether it is not only health, but also counts for ward. As soon as you lose 25% of your health value in ward, you will lose it. Sorry. So, it is reliable against a single hit, but it can be very, very good against something like a big slam from Uber Abroth or something like this. And then what is new with this patch is we are not grabbing Final Spark. Final Spark is something that you can use for mapping if you want to. It makes your Spark Charges detonate faster because it will detonate on your next Lightning Blast. But we are changing this to go into Hollow Effect with as many plus level to skills as possible into Lightning Blast, because these Spark Novas will cast the Spark Charges. And I did not test this personally. I only tested in practice, but Frozen Sentinel did seem to say that Spark Charge, this node inherits the more multiplier from Spark Charges damage. So this, even though this one says only Lightning Blast, and this is kind of like not this is not Lightning Blast, even though it's like it has its own scaling option. It scales with int. It's not supposed to, but apparently it is. But even if they do fix this, right, and they do fix Hollow Effect, the next thing that you could do to get just about the same amount of damage that we have in here would be to go into Shatter Shock. You would go 3 points into Shatter Shock, and you would put 1 more point into Arcing Power and 1 more point into Chain Lightning. Bring your chains up. It will bring your mana cost up, but it should still be fine with some mana regen, the mana and potion use, and Foot to the Mountain. And then you will get more damage against shocked and chilled enemies per your Lightning Blast. And why are we going with these either Hollow Effect or Shatter Shock? It's because of the Vilatria set. So the new Primordial unique that we are using is Legends Entwined. It counts as every equipped item set, and it gives you bonuses based on the completed sets that you have. So you have +5 all attributes, plus all resistances, and plus to all skills per complete set. So that means that you will have a +1 to all skill because you complete Vilatria set, and you also complete a Fairboar set. The Vilatria set gives you +1 spell lightning damage per 2 intelligence. So that will work. That will work on all of your spells. So it will work for Lightning Blast. It will work for Hollow Effect, for Spark Nova. It will work for Smite. It works for any sort of procs of spells that you have as well. So so this is why the build got so much more power. It is because of the Vilatria set. alongside the Legends Entwined ring. So yeah, so that is why we are trying to grab as many plus levels as possible into Lightning Blast. And like I said, even if they fix, you know, I don't even know if it's bugged or not, but if they do fix the scaling of this, which I don't think they will, you can go into Shuttershock. Another thing to note is that there is another bug with Lightning Blast. If you're trying to fix the mana, you can decide to put 1 point into Innate Conduit. It is, I don't think it is supposed to, but while out of mana, Lightning Blast has no cost but cannot chain. Well, if you take the single chain on the chain on single target, this still works. So you can completely fix the mana by going Innate Conduit and Convergence, and not even have to worry about any mana regen whatsoever. You will just never run out of mana because you will be able to cast Lightning Blast even when out of mana. So that covers that. So we're trying to get as many points into Lightning Blast as possible. Our movement ability is going to be Glacier. So there are a couple of options here. I use Glacier because you want to go Cold, Fire, Cold. So I need Cold Glacier. My Frost Wall is converted to Fire with Pyroglass. And then I got my Flame Ward converted to Cold with Frost Ward. So I got Cold, Fire, Cold here. There are some other options that you could have done, which would have been going for either Teleport. Teleport can give you a lot of things. It can give you armor and like elemental resistances. It can give you ward retention. It also gives you haste. So if you go through your Frost Wall will give you haste, and then you can refresh it with Teleport. So it can give you a lot of buffs, if you would say, or general benefits. But if you do this, you do lose quite a bit of damage. You can still decide to do so because, you know, damage is not an issue with this build. So if you prefer Teleport, go for it. But you do lose quite a bit of damage because you have to convert for Cold, Fire, Cold. Teleport does not count as any rune. So you need to convert Lightning Blast into Cold so that you have your Cold, Fire, Cold with your Frost Wall, Flame Ward, and Lightning Blast instead. Because then Teleport won't count as one, and Runic Invocation does not count either. So that is why you could go with Teleport, but keep in mind that you lose damage. And the other option is going for Rune Bolt. Rune Bolt, though, why did I decide? I initially had this one as the build guide at the start of Season 3, but I just recently changed it yesterday. Because Rune Bolt, you have to weave it in between Lightning Blast, and I don't like the clunk that it adds to get the maximum damage from Dissolve and Conquer. So you can get these stacks, and then you refresh these stacks to get more damage. It's maximum 21% more damage multiplier. But that being said, you have to weave it in. It feels kind of bad. It can be good for mana sustain, but like mana is easily fixed with like a few rolls. Either you go with like a few rolls of mana regen, which you would use, I feel like, for very, very little damage anyways. And then you go for the Foot of the Mountain and then mana potion use. So mana is fixed. So Rune Bolt just adds some clunkiness, and it makes you have your movement ability on Runic Invocation by grabbing Enigma. So why do I not like this is because Enigma will have a longer cooldown than Glacier would, than Teleport would. So you cannot move as quickly as you would want in between enemy attacks. On fights like Uber, on fight even like the Emperor of Corpses, where you go out of his AoE and go back in. Like, I don't know, it just adds some clunkiness by having less uptime of your movement skill and having to spam in Rune Bolt in between Lightning Blast. So I don't really like this setup. After playing with it, on paper it has more damage, but in reality it doesn't really have that much more damage. It's pretty much the same as going with the Glacier setup. It's slightly more than the Teleport setup though. So I do prefer going with Glacier. That is why I decided to go this way. But then again, that is a choice that you can do. If you want to play with either one of these versions, go ahead and yeah, nobody's going to stop you. Okay, so I feel like that's a lot of information already. Let's go into Frostwall. Well, actually, Glacier. Let's go into the nodes. Snowblink, this is the one that makes you teleport to your target. You want to disable the third explosion so that it has a very low mana cost. And then the rest of the points are kind of like whatever. But you go for the less mana, more mana efficiency here for less mana cost. Maximum crit chance. It might regain a portion of your mana when you crit with Glacier. And then it also will give you ward on crit with Glacier. The rest is like when I went for chill and damage. Just because these can also, you know, they will also benefit from Villatria. They can also apply spark charges. Like nothing crazy here, but the most important one is the teleport and less mana cost. For Frostwall, we want to absolutely convert this to fire for cold, fire, cold, right? And then we apply the brand of Trespass. So the brand is one of the passives in the Runemaster tree, which is Celestial Doom. Spell damage to branded bosses. You gain 7% more damage with this. So this equals to another moral multiplier. You get damage buff to chilled enemies, 14%. So when you have an active Frost Wall, so that is why you want to get the duration of the Frost Wall as much as possible. When you go through your Frost Wall, it will also cast Lightning Blast. And Lightning Blast will be cast from the Frost Wall pillars as well periodically. So these are the nodes at the top here. Down here, we are going for Haste. And we are going for cleansing negative elements on a target. Actually, this one, I might put all 3 points in here since I'm not using teleport anymore. Forgot to change this one, but you can get haste for a certain amount, certain duration. That is going to be your main source of haste. And then the rest of the points, ward on enemy pass through, and some extra ward synergies here. So this pretty much covers up the Frost Wall. You want to put up a Frost Wall, and even Frost Wall itself, honestly, during mapping, if you put down the Frost Wall, I usually put it down on like priority targets like rares and stuff and possessed monsters, and you just walk through it. It does quite a bit of damage by proccing your Lightning Blast, so that is kind of nice. Flame Ward, there's a couple of different ways that you can spec it, but I like to spec the second charge. I like to spec all of the less damage taken here, and I go for the absolute. You need the cold conversion for cold, fire, cold. And then there's a few things you can do. You can either go for maximum armor, or you can go for the ward retention and ward per second here. So these points are kind of like interchangeable. Go as you please, but this is how I set it up with 2 points in ward retention. Because the last patch they nerfed the ward retention. They nerfed the ward retention formula, and then we have armor here because armor is excellent. Runification spec'd as using the order of the skill on your action bar. So that is why I keep saying like you must use the proper order. Runification doesn't count, so that one you can put wherever you want on your action bar. But the rest of the skills needs to be in the proper order from left to right. So Cold Glacier, Fire Frost Wall, and Cold Flame Ward. That is why we are using immutable order. We get the cooldown, we get spell damage with the buff and cast speed after casting it, and then we go for a chance to double. The chance to double is only to get double the value of the burst of ward that we get with Ruined Strasgard, which is a cold fire cold invocation. And then we get some ward gain, some cast speed, and then this is like extra points that we don't really need, but after you cast it, your next non-channeled spell, it will penetrate enemy res and deal damage in a larger area. So slightly more damage for your next lightning blast, I guess. But those points are not very necessary. All right. So now that we talked about all of the skills, let's go over a few of the items that I have not talked about yet. So Orion's Descent, you farm this in the Woven Echo. It's one of the early Woven Echoes. Don't remember the name, but you can easily farm this in that specific Woven Echo. It will say in the description that you will fight Orions. We talked about Mathematical Misladle from the Exiled Mages. We talked about Fragment of the Enigma from COF Prophecies. Foot in the Mountain in Lightless Arbor. The gloves, you want to get those in Prophecies as well. So go for Glove Prophecies. Twisted Heart of Eukaros, that is your main ward engine. You get this one from Emperor of Corpses. And okay, I've heard this comment sometimes before that every single Maxwell, okay, with exaggeration, that every single Maxwell build is a Twisted Heart build. But let's be real, Twisted Heart is one of the best items overall in the game in terms of a stat stick. 20% increased health is absolutely massive for any build that wants to stack health. 16 strength also equals to armor. So every point of strength is 4% armor. So that's just going to be huge for your survivability. Even though you're not a strength stacker, just the fact that it gives you armor and health is absolutely massive. 16 cast speed is amazing for our setup here because we are a spell casting build. +1 to all elemental spells, just amazing. 8% current health converted ward is your main ward engine, and you can guarantee 1 LP on it on top of that. Like, come on, there's nothing not to like about Twisted Heart. So Emperor of Corpses in the in the what's the name of the timeline again? Blank. Okay, Emperor of Corpse in the timeline where Emperor of Corpse is. Unstable Core, that one you want to do with Prophecies as well. This one will give you plus level to skills, mana, which is going to be nice in combination with your idols. So if you have 300 mana, you will get double the effect from your idol from the second line of text. So 38% increased lightning damage doubled. That's going to be huge. And it got up to 150% increased elemental damage. Not only this, but it has like a good amount of armor, which you don't have like that much on this build, so it's quite nice. And then you guarantee the 1 LP. Vilatria, so this one, the set, you will need to gather the Vilatria set helm and the Fairbor's ring, and then you go into the Woven Echo that has the option to dismantle set items into shards. You craft it on your helm, and then you can easily seal it at tier 1 just to get the set. So you get the benefit from the set, you get your Primordial Legends Entwine, and then you can go with Intelligence and Lightning Blast on your helm. So that is going to be very, very strong. So this is where you get your Vilatria set and your Fairbor's ring. Fairbor's ring. Of course, as you can see, we are stacking Intelligence on pretty much all of the gear because that is your main scaling vector. Nihilus is farmed off of regular Abroth, now which you should have no problem farming with this build. Before you get access to Nihilus, you can also use the other what is it called? Evolution's End. Also gives you +2 to all skills. It gives you all res, has like some nice stats as well. So Nihilus, great option as well. I prefer Nihilus. It has mana regen, has more armor, it has like pretty good stats, but you do lose health and ward when you use evade, but you get seconds of frenzy after you evade. So Nihilus can be great, but it will remove some of your tankiness if you evade a lot, right? Because it will remove 20% of your current health and ward when you use evade. So decide if you want to go Nihilus or if you want to go Evolution's End. I prefer Nihilus, but you could definitely go for Evolution's End, which would be easier to get with LP as well, potentially. But you need to do a lot of beasts, so you can farm Nihilus more easily because you can just spam it all the time, right? You can just spam Abroth so much. So that pretty much covers the gearing aspect of it. Well, let's talk about Legends Entwine, which is your Primordial Unique, which you get by buying off of doing the Beast mechanics, which is the Season 3 new season mechanic. So go into as many beast portals as possible, kill as many beasts. There's a Woven Echo as well that you can fight many, I think it's like 8 beasts in a row, and they're randomly evolved. They can be very, very dangerous. I've lost some characters there, and yeah, they will give you some currency so that you can go buy the ring from the vendor. So that sort of covers the gear. The idols, there's a few options. This is like the most damaging option, right? Having these idols with increased lightning damage while you have lightning aegis and double the effect of your lightning damage on the second line when you have 300 or more mana. You want to go for flat spell damage on the enchant here. There's a couple of enchant that you can go for as well, but another option would be a large idol with cast speed while you have lightning aegis and shared lightning damage. This is another good option that you can do. That will give you more ward generation from Twisted Heart. It will be a little bit harder on your mana, but you should still be fine. It's similar. It's a little bit less damage, but it's still very, very good. And yeah, so decide what you want to go for. The most damaging option is going to be Heretical Adorned Idol of Electromancy. So these idols are the best ones. For your blessings, crit multi, shred lightning res, all res, armor, and armor. Fairly straightforward. Let's go into the passive now. Passives, you want to scale as much intelligence as possible. So we go for the int, we go for the cast speed, and we go for ward retention. Very straightforward first page here. on the let's cover the sorcerer tree first. 5 points in calculated destruction will make you scale their critical strike chance per int, and so that is what is gonna make you reach 100% critical strike chance and scaling intelligence. So the crit chance is pretty hard to get to 100% on this build. Make sure that you have as much intelligence as possible. And okay, let's talk about the crit chance, because this is another topic. The reason why I went for tier 7 spell crit chance on Mad Alchemist Ladle and not anything else is because the tier 7 you will want to guarantee, right? So what role do you want to guarantee? You want to have some roles that will guarantee you getting 100% crit chance, and doing so with the easiest setups and the easiest slams available to you for all of your items. So getting your guaranteed spell crit chance on your Mad Alchemist Ladle will mean that you will never have to like put tier 7 crit multi and hope for the best that you hit your spell critical strike chance on your Mad Alchemist Ladle. So this is why I went for this on the Ladle. I went for tier 7 crit multi here and tier 5 spell crit chance on the Fragment of the Enigma. Why is this? Because Fragment is it's very easy to get with 3 LP, and that one you can get easily with Prophecies, whereas Mad Alchemist Ladle you will have to do a lot of Exiled Mages, right? So that is going to be way easier to get with your second LP as crit chance than the Mad Alchemist Ladle. And then you have crit chance on the Villatria, on the Mage Helm here. So that enables you to like not have crit chance elsewhere. And on the end game setup especially, you won't have as much intelligence to reach 100% crit chance. So that is going to make it easier for you to get all of your crit. And then on the aspirational planner, things change a little bit because you will want to go with a tier 6 or 7 spell crit chance doubled while you have 300 max mana. That is going to fix your crit chance, and now you'll be able to go with crit multi and cast speed, and crit multi and cast speed all over here, and that's going to bring your damage up like crazy. So that way you don't need any other crit chance except all of your intelligence stats. You need the tier 6 or 7 unstable core with the spell crit chance double while you have 300 mana, and your big intelligence. So of course the base item here is might be pretty important. I left it here, but if you don't want to use this base, you can definitely use another one, but it's going to make it easier to cap your crit chance. Arcane Visage would be nice for cooldown recovery. Even Armor and LA Damage Leech's Health would be nice as well. So now that we talked about the crit chance and why we are slamming these items the way they are and why the tier 7s are the way they are, let's continue into the passives. You get cast speed with Arcane Momentum, movement speed here. You also get increased spell damage. Then you go for the Lightning Penetration and Lightning Damage Leech. That's going to enable your Twisted Heart to leech and generate some good amount of ward. Then you have the Chill Chance here. Chill Chance is going to be mainly used for the Frostwall buff chance. The Frostwall, more damage to chilled enemies. But you also have chance to chill on Glacier. You know, like it's not your only source. So, but it will make it more reliable for only 1 point. Next, less damage taken from ignited, shocked, or chilled enemies. Pretty straightforward. I decided not to go for the cast speed here. You could decide to go for them, but the critical strike chance on here is going to be important to cap your crit, and it's also going to give you more damage versus low health enemies. That means that the last phase, which is the most difficult one on Uber Abroth, you will have 15% more damage for that last specific phase. And so that is the reason why I go here. I feel like it's a nice addition, and it's going to be nicer to fight Uber Abroth, which is the most difficult content. So enemies usually, whether it is Uber Abroth or enraged enemies below half health, or, you know, enemies are always more dangerous when they are low on health. So that is why having a more multiplier there can be nice. You grab, of course, the intelligence here, the intelligence here. Reduce damage from crits with a catalyst. That's going to help us reach 100% less damage from crits. Crit multi with a wand here. Fairly straightforward. More damage to bosses and rares, and it's doubled with a raw rune. So you get 16% more damage here. You get 8 int here. You grab the 1 travel point here. You get an extra 10 spell damage for 1 point invested, which is really good. So Jagged Veil is still bugged. It doesn't work currently for the more crit multi. So This build is still missing 20% more damage. Please report this in game. We have been reporting this in season 2. It still hasn't been fixed. Hopefully it can get fixed this season. So open up the bug report tool and report this one if you want to have it fixed. But we are missing 20% more damage. I did still keep the point in here because I want to show people what it should be. If not, these 4 points can be used anywhere else. Then you go Celestial Doom for the 7% more spell damage versus branded bosses, which you brand with Frostwall. So the rest of the points, Spellblade, 5 points into Arcane Warden for War Decay threshold per int. But I am thinking about maybe removing these points to put into Runemaster, 1 point in Never Late, and then the rest of the points in Rune of Dilation, because I want to have more movement speed. Movement speed is so good. I feel like I want this 10% movement speed. It's the best stat in the game. It will make you, especially with not using teleport anymore, so we don't have like the guaranteed haste uptime. You only have haste when you go through your frost wall. So I am really thinking of taking Rune of Dilation, but that is going to be up to you. So that pretty much covers the passives, the skills, the equipment, the skills, and everything, the idols, the blessings. We saw the mapping earlier. We saw the Uber Abroth kill, which was with only the endgame planner, which is honestly fairly reliably obtainable. Aspirational planner, it's gonna blast through Uber Abroth in no time. Okay, so very, very good, very tanky, very good damage. Overall, decent clear speed, not S tier, but decent clear speed. Hope you like the build. I hope you learned something in this more in-depth build guide that I just did. And I'll see you guys all in the next